Cancel, please.
Why head teachers gave Exams Council a hard time today over new exam rules.
There was mix-up in the list, and you can get this anywhere.
And I want to repeat once again that there is no conflict whatsoever amongst all commissioners.
Plus, police promotions to be reviewed as Nkaiseri denies rift between Boynet and Kavuludi. And the forgotten constituency, why being in the ruling party is no guarantee for development. Good evening from the KTN News Center. This Tuesday night, the 9th day of August 2016. It is exactly 363 days to the 2017 general election. We're glad you could join us on the latest in the news this hour. I'm Ben Kitili, KTN Prime begins now. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto want the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to conduct the Jubilee Party nominations. The president made this announcement as 12 political parties endorsed the decision to dissolve and join the new party. But as KTN's Morevi Mwangi now reports, President Kenyatta has come under fire from the opposition coalition court for holding the Jubilee Party function at State House.
After months of political intrigues over what political path to walk through to 2017, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto have now announced that 12 Jubilee affiliate parties have so far welcomed the idea to dissolve and merge to form the Jubilee Party.
I welcome all Kenyans from all backgrounds and from all walks of life to be part of this historic moment all along, and that shall remain our party slogan, Tuko Pamoja.
To have a nation that every community and every region and every faith shall be proud to belong.
But the final decision on the merger will have to be endorsed by the delegates of the individual parties when they meet on the 8th of September. Before the formal merger 2 days later, the 12 parties are TNA, URP, GNU, JAP, APK, UDF, the Republican Congress, UPK, NFK, Ford People, PNU, and Kalembe Ndile's Tip-Tip. But with the queries over the credibility of the party nomination already causing jitters in the coalition, President Uhuru Kenyatta now wants the electoral agency, IEBC, to oversee the Jubilee Party nomination.
The process of coming up with those who will hold the interim leadership positions will not include those who are in positions. That process.
Even as he indirectly distanced himself from the recent endorsement of Water CS Eugene Wamalwa as the Jubilee candidate for Nairobi governor by a section of Jubilee leaders.
Sisi hatujatuma mtu yeyote kutafuta kiti yeyote.
So they should seek to be endorsed by those people they intend to vote for them. And the president has made it clear, in as much as we've asked him to be registered in Nairobi, he has one vote, and his one vote is in Gatundu South.
But ODM leader Raila Odinga has castigated President Kenyatta's decision to host the Jubilee Party function at State House, terming it an abuse of power and the premises. Raila also dismissed the Jubilee merger as an assassination of democracy.
We wish them well, but we're saying that the days for just one single party are gone. Those are past, and they will never come back.
Kura zetu, mioyo yetu iko kwako, Mheshimiwa Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
KANU, which is an affiliate party of the Jubilee coalition, has vehemently opposed any plans to slaughter the Jogoo for the Jubilee Party, while Bomet Governor Isaac Ruto has already launched his own party, Chama cha Mashinani. Meru Governor Peter Munya also insists that he will not defend his seat on the Jubilee Party ticket. As the spotlight turns to the delegates that are supposed to endorse the decision to dissolve their respective parties, the elephant in the room remains the nomination process that might now be conducted by the IEBC. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News at State House in Nairobi.
So a total of 12 political parties have folded up to join the Jubilee Party, a step that has continued to elicit reactions from different Kenyans, especially from the opposition, who insist that this move is akin to returning Kenya to a single-party state. But what do you think about this Jubilee merger? Tell us what do you think. We're asking you, do you support the merger of the Jubilee Party? Tell us what do you think by SMSing your yes or no opinion to our studio line, 22155. You can do this online on Twitter as well. The hashtag is Jubilee Merger. At Ben_Kitili, at KTN News, and at KTN Kenya shall be sampling your views, your tweets, as well as texts. To security matters now, the Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Nkaiseri has dismissed claims of a rift between the National Police Service Chairman Johnston Kavuludi and the Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet. Kaiseri has announced that a new list of promotions in the police service will be announced after talks, dismissing the existence of two different lists from Boynet and Kavuludi.
There was mix-up in the list, and you can get this anywhere. There was a mix-up from the Secretariat, whereby what the IG went with and what was never considered. There are certain names who were never considered in the board. And I think somebody may thought, or could have thought that these names was also considered, and then he released without doing the verification and confirmation.
There was certainly a problem with communication, but there were never any two lists. And what is important is that the Commission will be able to sit down and harmonize to ensure that the communication is proper.
And I want to repeat once again that there is no conflict whatsoever amongst all commissioners of the National Police Service Commission.
Primary school heads, after meeting in Mombasa, expressed their dissatisfaction with the new NEC exam regulations by booing the NEC Field Administrative Deputy Secretary Mahmoud Ibrahim. Ibrahim was heckled as he read out the new rules for school heads in curbing exam irregularities. However, a resolution to calm the head teachers was arrived shortly after, but not all the school heads are amused. And here's why.
Let me discuss this with the council, please.
Much ado about the KCPE. What, since the reforms of the Kenya National Examination Council, has become a game of roles.
Allow me to continue with other points.
NEC Field Administration Deputy Secretary Mahmoud Ibrahim, representing NEC CEO Mercy Karogo, had a daunting task. The meeting was calm until Ibrahim read out that the head teachers would also be picking examination papers every morning of the examination period from the distribution centers.
We are appealing to you as head teachers, as the process owners. Please support the ministry and the Examination Council to ensure that is achieved.
The cruise of the new exam regulations is head teachers being held ultimately responsible, accountable and answerable for any exam malpractice in their schools. They are also responsible for creating a conducive environment for pupils during the examination. The Kenya Primary School Heads Association Chairman Shem Ndolo stepped in as the voice of reason.
We are in the 21st century where we cannot respond by booing our leaders. And to explain how much you get as a head teacher for the exercise that you are going to do. Why don't you get place so that he concludes and reach the bottom line and share with us, even if you don't love what he's saying. There are other issues that we shall discuss later and make them right.
As you take overall responsibility, we expect you to be equally compensated.
However, school heads we spoke to after the session insist that it's not just about the money.
The head teachers, they have got so much work to do.
NEC haijali kulipa sisi kwa jukumu ambayo tunatayarisha wanafunzi katika kufanya mtihani, kuregister, na sasa tunapatiwa jukumu lingine ya kusimamia na kubeba mtihani.
When the head teacher is out, there are some other issues the head teacher is supposed to tackle. So if the head teacher is away, maybe some areas will not be tackled.
Kiwa mnaongeza jukumu kwa mwalimu mkuu ataweza kutoka kwa center yake, alafu aende tena kuenda kuchukua mtihani kule. Kuna kasoro kwa sababu wale wanafunzi watakuwa wamebaki na nani.
The KCPE exam begins on the 31st of October with rehearsals and the actual exam from the 1st to the 2nd of November. Senior officials maintaining that school heads will not be subjected to reversed roles. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News.
Away from the troubles of the Kenya National Examination Council, thousands of residents at Kamwarer area, Elgeyo Marakwet County, have been rendered jobless after the closure of Flosper Mining Company there. KTN's Elvis Kosgei now captures the fears and plans of the residents, most of whom depended heavily on the company.
It has been 3 months now since the milling machines at the Kenya Flosper Mining Company in Kerio Valley, Elgeyo Marakwet County, ground to a halt, sparking an economic lull in the region. To the thousands of residents of the semi-arid region, the closure of the company has spelled doom for their local business, since the farm was the economic lifeline. At Kimwarer Center, one is confronted with images of desolate place after shop owners closed down for lack of customers.
Nilikuwa nachinja kuku zaidi ya 15, lakini saa hii ninachinja moja, ama saa ingine tusichinje kwa sababu watu walishaenda wote waiko. Kasi ni mbaya, watu walikuwa wengi hapa sana, lakini saa hii tunalisha mtu mmoja mmoja mpaka jioni.
Mimi nilikuja hapa kufanya kazi, lakini tangu kampuni ianza kuyeyoma, hata si tumeyeyoma. Sauri ya watu wenye walikuwa hapa wameandikwa, hata mimi nilikuwa nakula kwa juu yao.
Those still operating cite poor sales volumes as goods continue gathering dust on the shelves.
Hapa kulikuwa na around 100 lorries ya kubeba fluoride, lakini kwa sasa wote wameenda outside. Sasa hakuna biashara yenye kukula kwa hoteli, pia maduka.
Hundreds of lorries which used to transport fluoride are parked for lack of business, with hardware and garages closed. Area leaders and locals are now calling on the government to intervene and reopen the farm.
Sisi hatujafurahia na hatufurahii kusikia kwamba Kenya Flosper bado imeendelea kufungwa. We are requesting the government pamoja na management ya Kenya Flosper Company wote wakae chini wakubaliane ili Kenya Flosper iendelee kufanya kazi. Ukiangalia economy ya hii area for the last few months tangu Kenya Flosper ifungwe, unaona kwamba economy imeenda chini sana.
Nafanya kazi ya transport mwaka 25 na bila sasa tumesimamishwa. Tumepata shida ya kulipa loan, kulipa fees ya watoto, kuendelea hatuna kazi yoyote, magari imelala, yote imelala. Na sasa watu ya pang wanatutai na hatuna chochote.
Speaking on phone, Flosper Mining Company Managing Director Nico Spangenberg maintained that the farm had suspended its mining operation over what he terms as lack of demand for the mineral and depressed prices since 2012. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, Kimwarer, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
From the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, we take a quick commercial break here on KTN Prime. We have reported 12 political parties have endorsed a move to dissolve and join the new Jubilee Party. On the big question discussion tonight, we are asking you, do you support the merger of the Jubilee parties? You can join this conversation on Twitter on the hashtag Jubilee Merger. We are taking a quick break here on KTN Prime. When we return, we tell you about what is happening in the county of Pokot, West Pokot, that is, with Duncan Kaimba's special report, Tiati Troubles. Stand by for that.
Desperate residents flock this Manyata, where 27-year-old Stephen Siangura acts as the village doctor, despite the fact that he has no medical background, and as such, he says he only treats two kinds of diseases.
Malaria ni common, alafu diarrhea, hiyo ni kitu, because kuna diarrhea, kuna vomiting, kuna amoebiasis because of maji, dysentery because of maji, hiyo ni sana, hiyo ni common sana hapa. Na hiyo kioka, hata mimi naweza kutoroka, because naweza kuwa na shortage of gloves ama dawa kama flagin. Sehemu hii imeumia, watu nakufa ile vibaya sana. Mortality rate for last year ilikuwa high, mwezi wa 8, mwezi wa 9 ilikuwa mbaya mbovu. I stay kidogo hivi nikatoka.
This Manyata doubles up as his house and a store as well. His paraphernalia stored not far from the fireplace, with some hanging from the roof. Even medicines given to patients are stored here. Siangura, who says he trained as a nurse aider for 6 months in Kericho between 2012 and 2013, only attends to his patients 1 day of the week, which explains the sizable number of people we found here. Armed with a stethoscope and a pair of gloves, just like a professional doctor, he begins attending to patients one by one. The examination is carried out in the open, an exercise he has been doing since 2014 after securing a 5,000 shillings loan from his father to start his business. Those that require a drip receive the same under the sweltering heat, and everything here is improvised.
Vitu kama septrin, tablets, sina hapa. Kama juice last month. Malaria ilisidi hapa. Limone na ilisidi. Hapa ilisindikana. Paka wengine wakarifa mpaka Kambulo. Around 20 kilometers. Kapedo 40 kilometers. Chemali got 45 kilometers. So it is far. So our people is wanaumia. Really wanaumia sahi vibaya sana.
Pregnant women are attended to by Cheba Cheptoch Nakodo, a herbalist whose expertise is also limited to only normal pregnancies that don't require surgery or any complicated treatment.
Anapatia kunywa, anatapika, pengine anaona kwamba pengine tumbo kuna shida ya tumbo, anatapika, alafu anafinya hivyo mpaka pengine anaona kuna dalili ametembea kama alikuwa na shida fulani.
We are told that children born in this area don't receive any form of vaccinations as required while in their first 6 months, since there are neither health facilities nor mobile clinics, a situation that is made worse by insecurity and the nomadic lifestyle of the populations here.
Sababu kama imechukua mwaka 10, zaidi ya mwaka 10, na bado wanasema pesa ya sawaji ya hospitali itajengwa. Iko tayari na haifanyi kazi. Mpaka lini sasa? Yeah. Sindio?
According to the only government official in this area, pleas from the residents have fallen on deaf ears and they appear to have resigned to their fate.
Wanaambiwa tu na hata hao wenyewe wanajua hakuna hospitali. Wakikuja tumekutana pande hii. Wanalelewa. Tunalilia hawa. Na wanaona na wanajua. Wanasema tu itachengwa. Mtachengwa hospitali. Muda yote enda, mwaka yote nenda, mwaka rudi, yuko namna hiyo mpaka wakati huu.
Asman Kamama has been area member of parliament for the area since 2003, nearly 15 years now.
How do you explain the fact that for over 50 plus, there's no single health facility or even mobile clinics in the area?
I want to say the major concern has been insecurity in that area. That area is close to the Scooter Valley belt. And so it was a no-go zone. But now that peace has come back, so we have no choice but to establish dispensaries. Of course, working very closely with the county government. We have no choice but to establish good schools in that area, and that will be done because the funds are there.
Patients who require more specialized attention are forced to hire services of a motorbike operator for about 3,000 shillings in order to be transported to Kapedo, since there are no vehicles in this part of the country, save for security ones, which pass in the area only whenever attacks occur or if there's a big emergency. It's almost 5 p.m. and the number of patients at this homestead continues to increase. Majority of them are women and children, and they are patiently waiting for their turn to be attended to. To the residents of Chesawach village in Tiati constituency here in Baringo, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Over 50 years and no health facility in this area. From Chesawach location, we travel west to Koloa, another village deep in Tiati, where we find school-going children who attend their classes in makeshift classrooms under trees in a forested zone adjacent to a riverbank. These are some of the few children that parents have allowed to attend school. A school where they perch on logs as they listen to their teacher, a Form 4 leaver who is a volunteer. There are supposed to be 3 classes, Standard 1 to Standard 3, but because of the few numbers and shortage of teachers, they are combined to study together. We notice some who are forced to come along with their little siblings, and they have to struggle holding them, listening to the teacher and writing as well. Studying under trees exposes them to all manner of dangers, from pneumonia, wild animals, or even poisonous snakes and scorpions, which are common in this part of the region. And when nature calls, daughter, boys will always be boys, only move inches from the class, ignoring their teacher's presence. Baringo County Government Ward Administrator in charge of the area, Ken Nadeiwa, admits education sector is equally in a coma, just like security and health.
They'll prefer young people going to take care of cows and practice reading instead of going to school. That has been a big challenge. And also children studying under a tree, there are many, especially in Koloa Ward. We have around 10 to 20 ECD schools that study under a tree.
Whereas some of the peoples have sacrificed to be in this gathering, which is a school to them, what they are getting in return is hardly worth writing home about. They are all grouped under one tree and run through various subjects, which are way beyond the level of some of them. As they continue learning, we notice one older pupil, Duncan Ritanyang, who appears absent-minded in class. We whisper to the teacher, and at the end of the day's lesson, he is summoned. He explains to the teacher that he needs to rest, since going back home will require him to run all the way, since it's quite a distance. We offer to drop him, but after some distance, we cannot drive further, thus forcing us to trek in a single file. And after about 2 kilometers deep inside these trees, we reach this lonely Manyata. This is where Ritanyang stays alone most of the time, save for the evening when he visits his sister, who got married in a nearby Manyata. The parents have moved on for now in line with the requirements of their nomadic lifestyles. But he agreed to remain behind so as to pursue an education. His drill is simple. From school, he hangs around until when the sister comes back so that he can go to her place to have the only meal for the day before retiring to this lonely hut. The following day, he leaves for school that is under trees where there are no classrooms, no teachers. Tiati troubles. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.
Welcome back to the broadcast. This is KTN Business. Just days after the country woke up to a countrywide power outage, Power Utility Kenya Power has blamed persistent outages on the current dilapidated state of the main distribution line that it says is old. However, Kenya Power says it expects this pain for consumers to ease soon after the imminent completion of the ongoing construction of a new line. KTN's Philip Ketanyi has the details.
Most of Kenya suffered a blackout on Saturday due to a fault on the major transmission line serving the capital city Nairobi. And today Kenya Power sought to shed light on the dark state of affairs, saying works are already underway to replace the already aging transmission line, which lately has become increasingly unreliable. The power distributor says it is investing in a new modern transmission line, with Nairobi expected to get a new transmission ring that will help minimize the power outages.
There have been a lot of investment by KPLC in terms of the substation to improve on the quality of power. So there are so many across the country. I mean, we are doing not only in Nairobi.
Construction of the new line is behind schedule, with construction being disrupted by communities along the line, Wayleaves demanding compensation. The Energy CS says laws need to be put in place to govern compensation claims in the future in order to avoid inordinate delays.
There is a bill which is being developed so that it really defines compensation. Because if we go by the rate, the way they are, we will not do any major project. We will not do. Even a road, we will not do. Because what has happened is now, you'll find people get to know that there is a line being built here. You'll find the houses appearing from nowhere. And then they give a value. A house which you know may not even cost more than 5,000. Somebody is saying I should be paid $1 million.
A proposed law, the Energy Bill 2015, seeks to compel Kenya Power to compensate affected Kenyans in case of a power outage that will last for more than 3 hours. But the power distributor has insisted that it will only compensate Kenyans if the proposed law is well structured.
Suppose it is knocked down by a lorry and there is a blackout. You know, they needed to define the parameters so that KPLC will take responsibility where they are the ones who have failed.
More energy will soon be coming into the country's national grid as the Lake Turkana wind power project is set to bring in an additional 80 megawatts of power before the end of the year, with additional power also expected from Ethiopia. With 3 power outages already experienced this year, and the public outcry for compensation for losses incurred, Kenya Power is now saying it can only compensate the public if the ambiguity in the current proposed law is ironed out. Philip Keitang, KTN News.
Internal financing, issuance of debt securities and cost of borrowing are among the factors affecting demand for credit in Kenya. A quarterly survey by the Central Bank of Kenya introduced to identify potential drivers of credit risk looked at demand for credit, credit standards, interest rates, non-performing loans, and credit recovery efforts. It shows that in the first quarter of 2016, there was increased demand for credit. Demand for credit in trade stood at 63%, building and construction at 51%. Personal or household demand at 58% and real estate at 45% The survey also noted that 69% of banks held interest rates constant. 23% decreased their rates, while 8% of banks increased their interest rates. Banks that held their rates constant attributed it to a stable macroeconomic environment, while those that raised the rates justified it with increased cost of funding. Also, construction of over 5,500 low-cost housing units at the Tatu City Mixed Development is set to start in 2 months' time, with at least 5 individual projects slated for October this year. According to Rendezvous country head Nick Langford, the installation of utilities to be based in construction and water is nearly complete. Rendezvous is the majority shareholder in Tatu City.
The overall 2.2 billion shillings project has so far seen Rendezvous grant the 30,000 acres of land on offer in 165 sub-leases to the residential sector and 12 sub-leases on industrial basis, majority of which have already been registered at the land registry. Financing has also been arranged.
There is no impediment to us doing any development at Tatu City, and that's demonstrated by the achievements that we have done over the last 12 months.
According to Rendezvous country head Nick Langford, 5 residential projects are set to commence in October, while within the next 6 months, 5,500 units earmarked for residential construction should be well underway for low-cost housing schemes. High-end schemes are expected to start in due course.
But in the infrastructure, we have power, we have water that's already there, we have drainage and sewage connection. That is all in. You can drive around the site, you can access all the units.
The development has also incorporated the education sector as a key enabler for the project, with more so Nova Academies buying into the project and today signing a deal on the purchase of 25 acres of land in Tatu.
The major roads, Kiambu Road, then in the nearby there is the Eastern I think, northern bypass. Then there is going to be established western bypass as well. So in terms of access for parents, it's going to be a lot easier, to be traveling to the school.
Nova intends to launch a girls' boarding high school and move its existing boys' boarding school into Tatu, a move that will see the innovation-based education system accrue benefits of coexisting with the industry.
That's what we have for you on KTN Business. Let's now leave you with the latest from the money market as well as what's happening at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. The U.S. has 2 major political parties, Republican and Democrats. Why don't Americans say it is not democracy? Jack Ripper says most parties under the merger are those that failed, hoping to rejuvenate themselves, not about unity. Michael Obando says that will be bringing back Section 2A that Kenya fought against in the early 1990s. Sizzling Nairobi on Twitter says, Jubilee merger has consequences. Egos will be crushed at the nominations. Dreams will be shattered. Isa Hassan tweets, placing the interest of the party over those of the nation. It is weak governance and fostering division. And Joseph Gina says, no, for reasons behind, it is only to cling to power, no mwananchi in thought. Team Arsenal Kenya on Twitter says, this system of waking up from a dream and coming and forming a political party must end. Nyakwar Gogo says that's nonsense. Jubilee is taking us behind to the KANU era, and this is unacceptable. Tumutit's Fit says, very much an argument in the US, UK, SA, Germany. They have bigger, fewer non-tribal political parties. And finally, one here from Peter Theuri who says, no, they are in a way tribal mergers in the name of political mergers. Kenyans are way beyond that. Finally, More Finest says, I support, since equal representation will be much achieved, unity amongst us. Many thanks for participating in our Big Question discussion and for joining us on KTN Prime. I'm Ben Kitili. Good night from the KTN News Center. Up next here on KTN News is Sophia Wanuna with the last word you do not want to miss. That's next on KTN News.